peeps, Eric Galaxy here. How you doing? So before we get to hold on a second. Let me get my new hat on here. Gotta get my new hat. All right, how's that look? Look kind of like Patty and Bear, huh? Anyways, so before we get to the serious stuff, I just want to run this kind of by you a little bit here. I was watching Family Feud the other day, and one of the questions was, what would you do a lot of now because it won't be allowed in heaven? And, of course, you got the usual easy answers, drinking, no gambling, no fornicating, I mean, all the stuff that makes it fun living on earth. Why do they call it heaven? Why? Oh, okay. Okay, so apparently if it's a capital H as opposed to just a lowercase h, that kind of changes the dynamic of what heaven is or can be. Anyways, so the one guy, his answer was watch sports. So I'm like thinking, okay. And of course, Steve Harvey has that incredulous look on his face where he's like doing that kind of look and everything. And it's like, yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you, Steve. Why wouldn't God let you watch sports in heaven? I mean, some of God's biggest fans are athletes. They're constantly coming up and praising and giving all praise to the Lord for helping them win the game or do good in their sport or whatever. So, yeah, there's a lot of athletes out there that are our biggest fans of God there. So, I don't know why God would not let sports viewing avail. I just said that totally wrong. But anyways, you know what I'm getting at. Sure, there might not be as much cussing and drinking, which is kind of interesting because, I mean, that kind of goes hand in hand with watching sports. So I don't know. So that might be a problem right there. But, yeah, like I said, big H, little h, right? But, all it takes is one person to give a weirdo answer, like that episode, Always Sunny in Philadelphia, where Charlie's on the street and he's like being asked the questions, so he gives the weird answers, and then the gang ends up like being on Family Feud, and of course the one weird answer is the one that Charlie comes up with, so they end up winning the game because like he had these bizarro answers. So okay, maybe there might have been a bizarro person out there that said watching sports, because all it takes is one person to get on the board. You gotta watch those numbers, one person, that's it. But really, no sports in heaven? Why do they call it heaven? Some might say that this segment should be in the obituary RIP discussion. The demise of the Pac-12. I grew up with the Pac-8, which became the Pac-10 after Arizona and Arizona State joined, and then on to the Pac-12 when Colorado and Utah joined. I'm a Stanford guy. I didn't go there, but I grew up pretty close to there, so that's kind of been my college team for forever. And the fact that the Pac-12 is now a shell of its former self, they're more than a shell. They're now the crushed up shells that you feed your chickens. And I don't see any path to salvaging the Pac-12. I mean, the only teams left are Stanford, Cal, although apparently the ACC is going after them. What kind of world is it when the Atlantic Coast Conference has Stanford and Cal in it? Atlantic. I mean, that's just, I wonder if the Florida State situation had, I'm pretty sure it did have something to do with that whole thing. Someone was joking the other day, I heard on us on TV that they were talking about, well, the Panama Canal is going to get more business now. That was kind of funny. I mean, I don't know how much more business, but I mean, yeah. Panama Canal, I mean, why go by plane when you can go by ship, right? So anyways, and then you got Oregon State and Washington State. They're pretty much left out of the equation. I mean, what are they going to do? I mean, sure, they could go join the Mountain West Conference. Seems kind of a step down, but I mean, Oregon State and Washington State haven't been like burning up the league for the last, decade or so. They were pretty good there at a time, but there are some schools in the Mountain West that have, I guess you could say, some kind of pedigree. I guess Boise State is always kind of one of the top 25 teams in the country, so you got that. You also have who is it? Utah State. Well, that's the Packers' new quarterback is from Utah State, so there's something there. And San Diego State, who the Pac-12 was courting right after, was supposedly courting. I don't know how far that got, but after USC and UCLA left. So, I mean, there's some schools there in the Mountain West. And Hawaii, hey, you get to go to Hawaii, take a trip to Hawaii every year. That's not bad, I guess. I don't know, I've never been there, but I heard it's really nice though. Yeah, so, and this affects other sports too, not just football. I mean, although this is football money driven and everything, but there are other sports involved, so maybe it could be something. I mean, you never know. The rise and fall of one conference is the rise and fall of another conference. Or fall and rise. Should I switch that around? Fall and rise. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this all works out conference-wise, because the Big Ten, I think Nebraska is the closest college to the teams that are leaving the Pac-12, and they're 1,600 miles away. So, I mean, and what happens to the other teams? The teams like that don't play more than 12 games. You got your baseball and your basketball teams. So how's it going to affect them? What are the universities going to do to alleviate the stress on the student athlete? Because they're students before they're athletes, right? They're in college. They're trying to get degrees, so they're trying to graduate. So now all of a sudden they gotta whoa, sorry. Remember that 1 or 2 games, you were gonna have to spend outside of your, region? Well, now it's like 4 or 5, because now you're in a league that basically, did I mention, the closest university is 1,600 miles away? So, and then what about the fans? The fans, are they gonna how many boosters and fans are willing to travel that far and farther? Because that's the closest school. The other schools are all more farther. They're more farther away. So, but I mean, I guess $30 to $60 million is more important than 3% that play college sports. Anyway, so yeah, it's a little sad, because there's not going to be any more, Apple Cup, no more Civil War game. Sure, you'll still have, the big game, because that's Stanford and Cal, wherever they're going to go. I'm trying to put, wherever they're going to go, there'll still be a big game, but no more traditional Rose Bowl. I mean, it was had already been diluted as it was because of the BCS situation, but now no more Pac-12 versus Big Ten matchup. I mean, they're all gone. So yeah, how's that going to work out? The only thing I think of is maybe these schools, the colleges, they can. Because they do get non-conference games. They can schedule non-conference games. I think there's like 2 of them. Usually there's like 2. And they're usually populated by Division II teams or whatever, cannon fodder, so to speak. But maybe Oregon State can like schedule a non-conference game and become and still carry on the Civil War tradition. That always sounds kind of weird to say, the Civil War. I don't know why they call it that, but whatever. And or Washington State can like schedule so they can still have the Apple Cup. So I understand that the landscape of college football is going towards the 3 to 4 super conferences, okay? Because football money drives everything. And it's not like there haven't been conferences in the past that haven't, folded. The WCC, the Southwest Conference, and all those teams found places to go and thrive. Texas was in the SWC. They went to the Big 12, and now they're going to the SEC. So they're kind of the traveling Wilburys of the college football, I guess. But the Pac-12, this is a conference of champions. More national championships than any other conference. Sure, a lot of those championships were in not the glamour sports that we want to talk about all the time, but championships are championships. And you can't look past those USC football and baseball teams, or the legacy of the UCLA basketball and softball teams. Bill Walton is rolling over in his Grateful Dead t-shirt. Now, I know that a lot of people outside of the Pac-12 probably don't care because, like I said, it's happened before. But it also means that it happened again. So if you're ACC or a Big 12 supporter, it happened in the Pac-12, could happen again. So, yeah, you got your SEC now, and you got your Big 10, and we'll see what happens with the Big 12 and the ACC eventually. Yeah, that whole Stanford Cal thing and the ACC still got me freaked out. I believe it's all a culmination of what when Nebraska left the Big 12 for the Big 10. A major, football power leaving one conference for a rival conference, that was kind of a big deal. But the demise of the Pac-12, a Power 5 conference, that's a way bigger deal. So, yeah, I mean, I get it. The youth of today, 20 years down the road, are going to look back on it. Oh, really? There was a Pac-12? Wow. I mean, yeah, Pac-12, been around for over 100 years. Gone. But it'll be just like it was for me, 40 years ago. What? Minnesota won back-to-back-to-back national championships in football? What? Pac-12. R.I.P. Just as a side note here, I wonder how many student athletes will eschew the major conferences because they or their friends or family either can't or don't want to travel, or maybe they feel that they'll be caught up in these huge conferences and disappear as an athlete. But let's make sure we know that a lot of these athletes are students first, right? So a lot of them are not going to go pro, and their whole future pretty much is kind of like, tied up in graduating from college. So maybe they say, you know what, can't do it. They start going to Division II schools, which is perfectly fine. There's been a lot of professional athletes that have come out of Division II colleges, so it's not unheard of. I also wonder how this is going to affect the BCS, because I'm sure it's going to affect the BCS somewhat. I mean, just the dynamics of it all seem kind of like you're adding these schools. Now you got these huge conferences. So, are these schools that are leaving other conferences going to get swallowed up in that? Or, so it's going to be kind of interesting to find out what happens with that. But, yeah, it's going to be fun. Yeah, working on that one still. So, so anyways, there's this show on television right now called Stars on Mars. When I first kind of read about it in the TV guide, I thought it was kind of like a science fiction show or something, but not. It's actually a celebrity game show. Stars on Mars. It's kind of a cross between Survivor and Big Brother. A whole bunch of B and C listers on there. You got Ariel Winter, Christopher, what's his name? Mintz Plasse. I'm not sure how you call it. And William Shatner is the host of it all, of course. There's people from the sports realm in there. You got Ronda Rousey, Marshawn Lynch, Richard Sherman. The most interesting guy, I think, anyways, is Lance Armstrong's on there. I just thought it was interesting because, I mean, isn't he like one of the most reviled figures in the sports realm? Right? I mean, right? Anyways, so yeah, he's on there too. Now I know he has that Live Strong Foundation. It's done a lot of good work for people. Maybe he's trying to win his self into the hearts and minds of Americans. Okay, interesting. Anyways, like I said, this show, I only watched about 15-20 minutes of it. I can't imagine it getting any better. I mean, it was terrible from the start, and I think I came in right when there was supposed to be some kind of like intense scene going on here. They were doing a challenge or something like that, but it was like the actors, the people on the show are not compelling. I mean, probably the most compelling one is Marshawn Lynch, just because, well, it's Marshawn Lynch. But other than that, yeah. So I don't know how many people had left the show by the time I saw it. Anyways, the only reason I can think that this show is on is because of writer's strike. Because, I mean, there's no real other reason for this show to be on. I don't know what it's doing in the ratings, to tell you the truth. Knowing people the way I do, it's probably way up there. But I'm just saying, I couldn't watch it for more than the 15-20 minutes. So yeah, writer's strike. I think the show aired at the end of June or something like that. So isn't that right around the time that started all kind of coming down? So, or maybe they just coincidence. Maybe it's just coincidence and somebody posted it and put it on there and just all of a sudden, oh yeah, well we ain't got nothing else on here, so we're sticking with it. But yeah, Stars on Mars. I would say tune in. So, watch the Hall of Fame game. Yeah, I mean, usual standard Hall of Fame game. None of the stars are playing. You know, so it is what it is. Couple of cool things, though. One was DeMarcus Ware singing the national anthem before the game. I mean, it was pretty cool. I mean, he's not that great of a singer, but he put in a good effort, and he was one of the people that was going to end up on the stage the following Saturday anyways. So yeah, I mean, it was a cool, very cool moment. The other thing was the camera's following Aaron Rodgers around because he's the big deal this season. You know, it's like Aaron Rodgers. So it was cool to see him on the sideline, you know, the camera's following him. And you saw that one moment where he's talking on the phone or something upstairs, and you see him go. And, well, if you read lips, you know what he was saying. That was kind of funny, interesting. The other thing that kind of cracks me up about the Hall of Fame induction ceremony is when they show the busts of the people, and it's like, you know, every time they pull that towel off the head, the bus there, that people are going to be like, are they going to be wincing because the bus looks nothing like them? Or are they going to be like, oh, okay, you got something right on it? Because I swear, I would say probably 8 out of 10 times the bus looks nothing like the person. And then they show them how they make the bus, and they show the guy there with the calipers and everything around the head, and they're measuring the head and everything. Yeah, I'm going, dude, we have technology now. You don't got to use calipers. You can, like, we got AI now. You can start using that kind of stuff and generate these bus. But I mean, I don't know. Maybe even that won't solve the problem. It's just kind of funny that they kind of, yeah, use AI. Damn it. The other interesting thing I saw about the whole was Joe Klecko. I remember watching Joe Klecko play with the New York Stock Exchange back in the day. One of those, fired up players. But his buddy on the other side, Mark Gastineau, has an even better resume than Joe Klecko, and Mark Gastineau is not in the Hall of Fame. Let me look at my notes here. Joe Klecko was a Defensive Player of the Year in '81. Gastineau in '82. Joe Klecko has 2 first team All-Pro. Mark has 4 first team All-Pro. Joe Klecko went to the Pro Bowl 4 times, Gastineau 5 times. Gastineau 2-time sack leader, Klecko 1-time sack leader. So I'm thinking, why is Mark Gastineau not in the Hall of Fame? Is it because he was married to Bridget Nielsen for a while and that was a real mess up? Just saying. So here's one thing that I didn't think was going to be such a big deal, but apparently it's becoming a big deal. That is the NFL thinking about possibly using the XFL kickoff rules. One prominent sportscaster has even gone so far as to say this is embarrassing and using a whole lot of other words that I'm not going to use here. But I myself, I think it's a good idea. The NFL already voted this year to go to the college kickoff rules, where the returner can call for a fair catch anywhere within the 25-yard line, and therefore the ball is moved out to the 25-yard line. So if he's standing on the 5 or 10, call fair catch the ball, they move it out to 20. It kind of seems like a little bit of like a freebie to me. I don't know, but anyways, obviously a whole lot of special teams coordinators are not happy about this because it'll cut down on the returns. I don't know why I just used that voice, but anyways, but that's kind of the whole point, I think, is because, that whole concussion thing they're always talking about. So, the XFL model will cut down on injuries and also still leave some kind of strategy in there, because there's going to be 100% kickoff returns. Because I don't know if it's a rule or not. I've already tried it. I haven't got down that far down the rabbit hole. But I don't think that in the XFL that the kick returners call for fair catches, because the way it's set up. So I think it would be more entertaining. It's way better than just putting the ball on the 25-yard line without any kickoffs, which I believe was a proposal at some time to do that. So, I think this is kind of one of those get off my lawn moments. I'm sure this will be revisited again. Well, alright, so let's get into my shorts. World University Games. Did anybody see this whole Somalian runner girl doing the 100-yard dash where she was clearly not supposed to be there? Apparently her family member got her in there because he was on, or she was on the board of directors or whatever. But the thing that really got me was that there are 8 lanes, and there were only 1, 2, 5, I think there was like 5, 6 runners. So this must have been the last heat of the day, because there was one girl that was clearly better than the rest of them, and 2, 3, and 4 were pretty much tied together, but although they were about 10 yards behind the first place runner. And then, but you had this one other girl who was in 5th, and she was almost as bad as a Somalian, because she was like right there in between 2, 3, and 4, and 6. So yeah, it was kind of, it was pretty bad. Right, and in soccer news, Messi is tearing it up. Who knew? Yeah, he's playing. They're playing what's called the League Cup right now, which is a combination of Major League Soccer teams and Liga MX, which is a Mexican division, I guess the top tier. Although, I mean, talent-wise, I don't think they're that much higher than the MLS. Regardless, yeah. So Messi is scoring a whole bunch. I heard somebody last week say, "Oh, it's not because Major League Soccer is bad. It's just because Messi is so good." It's kind of both. They are bad, and he's that good. And what's up with Neymar? All of a sudden, he's gonna come over and play. What's up with these guys? You know, they go and they make billions of dollars over there in Europe, and then they decide, well, let's go hang out in the US of A and play some soccer over there and tear it up, because we're obviously head and shoulders above everybody else there. So yeah, that's gonna be pretty kind of interesting. See what happens there. In other soccer news, the women's World Cup. What's up with the Boston Red Sox uniforms? I mean, I get it. Boston strong, okay? Blue and yellow. But you'd think that they could find somebody. I mean, they're on the East Coast. Isn't there like a garment? What are those garment factory workers called? The design stuff and everything and all the, blah, blah, blah. Put, I don't know. Someone will tell me. They could have come up with something, a better uniforms. I mean, I get, okay, blue and yellow. But so let's kind of find out how we can incorporate those colors into something a little bit cooler, better looking than that. I mean, come on. I mean, even, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers creamsicle uniforms, which are coming back, by the way, this year, look better than those. Yeah, terrible. And finally, Mike Tyson is training an MMA fighter to fight a real fighter, Tyson Fury. I guess it's September. Now, I don't know, I can't pronounce the MMA fighter's name. It's Francis or something like that. But do these things ever really work out? I mean, it just seems like they always either become a really boring match, or the MMA fighter, say that 5 times fast, ends up getting knocked out. So, I mean, yeah, we'll see. We'll see. All right. That's it for this show, and as always, I'm ready to fess up to my mistakes. So let me go to my notes here. Family Fight was the name of the show, not Family Feud, on Always Sunny in Philadelphia, and Keegan-Michael Key played the role of Steve Harvey. Also, no TV Guide to read in. I just said that because I used to read the TV Guide a lot. And it's PLOS, not PLAS, as I said. I found that out. Air date for the writer's strike was actually on May the 2nd. So they had been striking for long before that Stars on Mars shows came on. I think I got them kind of confused with the actors strike, which came shortly after that, around that same time. Traveling Wilburys are way better than Texas. Yes, it was an Oregon State hat that I was wearing, not a Stanford hat, but it's the only college hat that I have. So, And I cannot still pronounce the MMA fighter's name. Oops. Well, all right. That's it for this week. Apparently, this is the time I'm supposed to ask you to subscribe and like me. Okay. So subscribe and like me. Until next time, Jim Plunkett, Hall of Fame. I really didn't have an RIP section in this episode. But it should be noted that a 19-year-old offensive lineman from Liberty University, Taj Boyd, died. I haven't heard why, the cause, but once again, 19-year-olds dying